Ever wonder, like, what the heck is going on here? Why am I having the same shit show over and over again? Like, what is going on? Is it my light attracting the darkness? Like a moth to a flame burned by the fire? Like, what is going on here? I've done a lot of inner work, this, that. Well, today I would like to describe to you duality in a different way to help you understand a concept that can really help you shift your life for real. Because it is all about your vibes. And good vibes only is great in theory, but how do we apply it when we live in a world of duality? Well, today we're going to talk about that. Okay, so welcome back to Zen Penguin. On this channel, we talk about things in a way that's logical and practical so you can apply it to your life and have some real change. And so today we're going to talk about duality and karma as, a springboard to understand something very crucial, and that is our vibration. I do talk about how good vibes only was such a trend, but what does that even mean? Is it really just somebody acting the fool and you saying, no, I'm out, good vibes only? No, that is not what it is. And that's going to lead me into helping you understand what duality is. At the deepest level, duality is we are inside at a certain dimension of vibration, and externally it matches 100% of the time, no error. Okay. And so duality is we fight against the external, not realizing it's just matching our internal creative energy, our vibe. So that's a duality, because what we're doing is we're fighting something that it's a duel, but it's really a duel with ourselves, because we are in separation consciousness, which means I don't recognize it inside. I'm dictating what's happening outside. That's separation. That's duality at the very deepest rudimentary place. Now, how that shows up, there's so many ways that duality springboards in our lives, just so many. And the biggest one is how we can recognize we fight with ourselves is when we are meant to make a decision and we go back and forth. We know that's duality. We're like, I'm a little over here, I'm over there. He loves me not, that type of thing. And so really what it is that we're conflicted in duality because of one thing. And I hope this will help you understand. And that one thing is we are consistently looking externally to decide, when we really have to just clean up our internal world. So think about that. It reminds me of hoarders, and I talk about this a lot. Like, they're told to clean up their environment. Like, come on, let's get in there and clean it. And anybody who doesn't understand duality would be like, dude, just put the shit in the garbage, right? But it's not that easy. If you've ever watched hoarders or know a hoarder, and I know a lot personally, it's like, no, they're not having it. Why? Because everything that is around them is a exact replicated match of all of the stored vibrations they have. So most of the time, hoarders, if you ever paid attention to them, they are completely blocked off to their emotions. They just store them. So it's a trauma response, right? And so then their house becomes a storehouse. And so what they're really doing is their self-protection from emotions that they can't handle, or they think that. And then externally, they're doing the same thing. They create a life of hoarding where nobody can come near them and hurt them. Really, I mean, just in a nutshell. And that's the duality. And so I hope through that example, you can understand the only thing we have to really recognize is, how do I clean up what's going on in here? Well, first is bring awareness to it. So let's bring a story to you so you can understand the awareness I'm talking about, so we can start cleaning up our internal environment and watch the external shift. No more duality. So let's just start by understanding our genetics and our DNA. They are the codes of what our energetic patterns are. So we can say, I can't lose weight, it's genetics. Yes, it is. But inside, it's because you have the same mindsets and the same emotional patterns as your ancestry. And so you are doing externally the same thing. And so, of course, you will have the same body if it relates to how you eat or your body type. So, yes, but then we say, well, just go exercise. But this is, again, just like the hoarding example. It's like, how do I get deep inside and see the pattern that's creating it? the mental energy and the emotional energy that's creating it. And just in a nutshell, we could say that fool is not going to go to the gym or eat healthy. Why? Because it doesn't feel good. And there it is. That's the internal environment that is dictating the external. And we could go even further into understanding perception. So there's a perception that I won't be accepted at the gym, or eating healthy is hard. So all the perceptions that stem from the energy. It's literally what I talk about on this channel. If we do something from a triggered state, we're not going to get a good result because we're in low dimensions and it's just going to be a shit show. Well, it's the same thing with this, and that is the duality. Because we get a feeling inside. So here's a good genetic pattern you can understand related to this topic. We get a feeling inside. We look in the mirror and we're like, oh my God. Or we get a picture taken with the family and we're like, oh my God. And then we do the same self-sabotage pattern. And right back up 2-3 years later, see a picture, oh my God. And there's no real change. And so what I would like to use that understanding is we get conscious light bulb moments all day. But the unconscious is not imprinted to make the change. It's not. So we have aha moments. I've recognized through years of coaching, people would say, oh my God, you've helped me. I just had an aha moment. And I'm thinking, damn, girl, we had the same aha moment 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 10 months ago. And so I'm not saying that as a way to beat up my clients, but I just want you to understand, like, we have aha moments all the time. We go right back to sleep to it. What is asleep? Unconscious to it, because we are unconscious, automated beings. We just do what's it. That's your genetics, your unconscious. So what else is your unconscious? It's your internal landscape. And it dictates the external. In duality is that not seeing that. It's like conscious moments fighting against the unconscious and not recognize. You just got to go right inside to the projector to change the screen of life, including your mindsets and your body. Okay, so once we understand duality, I'm sorry, but this green smoothie is life. I got to take a drink. So once we start understanding that my internal is always creating the same external, then how does good vibes apply to that? So then if you really started to pay attention, your states of being, your emotional triggers, your everything is always about the same. It might have a different out picturing, but inside you genuinely have the same thing. You wake up in the morning, you're all right, tired, oh God, this again. And then you get up and you start getting ready, you feel a little better. You get your coffee, you're feeling a little better. Then you get in traffic and you're angry and irate and just fighting for your life to get through it. And then you get to the office and you're like, finally here. Then your boss comes and then you start to get a little irritated. So right there, we can just describe an energy pattern. It's tired. It's I'm okay. It's I'm angry, road raging. I'm apathetic. I'm finally at work. Now I'm frustrated. So those 5 things are on repeat. Even on your days off, you have a different thing to have those same energy patterns, because it is the unconscious energy pattern. Unconscious is all pure vibration. Okay, you can think of it that way. Even our mental thoughts, they're vibrations, okay, because they match the energy inside of us. So when you get frustrated, you have the same thoughts on a loop. When you get happy, you have the same thoughts on a loop. When you get horny, you get the same thoughts on a loop. Like, you get what I'm saying? And so your energy patterns, that's your genetics, that's your DNA. And so I want you to understand that fully, because the duality is we're not seeing that we're on a loop of emotional frequency, not good vibes only. It's just a freaking gimmick if you say that. Because the outside is mirroring that, and that's the duality, us not seeing it. So we fight against the screen of life. I'm going to tell my boss about himself, not recognizing that it's an energy pattern, that even if we did that, we would still go on to find another boss or another person to still be in that pattern. And so we're always what? Fighting the screen of reality. Sit with that for a minute. We're always fighting reality. Why? Because we perceive we're not safe. talk about that all the time with the nervous system and all that. We perceive it as not safe, so we're always in fight or flight. And I'm sure that's not the first time you've heard this. The cortisol movement, with, weight loss and all of that. We're over cortisoled and we're always in fight or flight. And so everywhere we go, we're on this edge, and that's the duality, which is so deeply ingrained in these patterns. And now our lives are just reflections of that. And so that's going to take me to your next understanding. Let's just say that you don't agree with me. Cool. Okay. Nellen, I literally, got away from everything, and I'm just sitting at home alone now in my office, and I'm just not in the same energy patterns. I disagree. Okay, great. So went and lived van down by the river. Nobody's fucking with you. You are great, right? No, you're not, because wherever you go, there you are. There's your DNA, your genetics inside you, your emotional patterns. There they are. Seriously. It's the duality is you not seeing that. Okay. So if you have that pattern we talked about earlier, trust me, if the van down by the river or in your closet, there is something that's going to trigger you. A spider in the corner, it's because the reality is a play of our frequencies. Okay. So that would help you understand that even if you were in a van down by the river and you were sitting there and you saw a spider, you would go into that same rage. Dude, I can't even just be happy. I gotta have a freaking spider fuck up my peace, all that. So it's like, oh man, it's just your same reactions. So this is gonna get to the good part where you understand, because I'm really hoping I've described this well so you understand, so we can go into the next part to help you understand how do you get rid of these energy patterns, because this is all about reality fighting, that we're fighting against. Why? Because the way we're perceiving it. Our emotional patterns are the dimension of our perception. So all we have to do is change the way that we perceive things and then go into the emotion and back and forth until it breaks. So let me give you some tips and tricks on how to do that, because this is the only way out of hell, because duality is hell. Duality is suffering. Duality is the issue. And so to understand what duality is, I hope I explained that, and to get into union with yourself, you don't look externally to say, this mofo is making me feel this way. You say, ooh, there it is. The next part of my energy pattern showing up on the screen. And it doesn't matter what it is, you are in these emotional frequency patterns every day on autopilot. Okay, so let's get to the tips and tricks. Okay, so let's use the example of living in a van down by the river, and how we think that we can escape our emotional energetic patterns by removing ourselves from the world and the chaos, which is the strongest form of duality, because then you're really not seeing that no matter where you go, there you are. And so, you see the spider. And so this is where perception comes in. This is where reality is, fighting for our attention to match where we're at, or to match our patterns, okay? And so you see the spider, and our perception is fear. And so then we go into the emotion, right? So wouldn't it make sense if we could start perceiving the reality different, that we wouldn't be triggered into these emotions? Or as a lot of people say, change your mind, change your life. Or in the Bible, it says, be renewed by the transformation of your mind. This is what we're talking about. Because we can do it two ways. And I told you this channel is about us using our mind, because a lot of spiritual, teachers are about just shift the energy, cultivate a better feeling, when you're triggered, shift that to another feeling. And that's super freaking hard. And it's annoying when people say, just be present, this and that. I need to use my mind. I'm an air sign dominant person. And this is how you use your mind. You perceive it differently over and over again until you re-impress your unconscious with a better triggered response of a higher state. So when you see the spider, you have a new belief. The old belief is, oh my God, I'm terrified. The new belief is, oh, hello, happy little spider. Can you please move along? I don't want to share space. Not going to work at first. It'll be a little soothing, but your energy patterns are very momentous and very dominating, and they don't want to die. Because the biggest thing about fight or flight energy patterns is they're of the ego. And the ego is to be transmuted, not killed off, like a lot of people say. And so transmutation of the ego patterns is, it's going to take a lot of repetition to get into new momentum. So let's use another example besides the spiders so you can really understand what we're trying to do. And I don't know if you've watched any of my other videos, but throughout my awakening of trying to change my perception and my energy patterns, I would always just say, it's perfect. Wow, spider, perfect. And my secondary thing was, yay, being plucked by the universe. How much fun is this? So, because as you start to awaken your higher self, it is my belief, starts to send you more things so you can get that repetition faster. Oh, there it is again. Yay, pumped again. Doing the new thing, do the new thing, do the new thing. And then it's gone. And for me, a lot of that is gone. So let's use some more examples. My favorite one is this. Because as I've talked about on the channel, I've worked on psychic line, I've worked in psychic shop, I've done my own personal coaching, I've talked to a lot of people from all cultures. Number one thing is feeling rejected, right? And so rejection is huge because we want to feel like we are wanted and validated and needed and loved, right? And so you will attract people that are not loving and rejecting you because you're rejecting your own inner state. That's the biggest duality, right? Any rejection out there is because you're rejecting what's going on in here, okay? So the more it hurts is the more you're rejecting it inside yourself, right? Because that's the duality. So your soul is trying to wake you up. And so with rejection, I would like to use this example because a lot of people are like, this dude was 1 step forward, 3 steps back. Why do guys keep coming and acting like they're going to be great and then they're just running for the hills and I'm over here crying, picking up the pieces. I'm an empath, they're a narcissist, all of these things, right? How do we re-perceive that repetitively? Let's start over. How do we start to repeat a different belief in that scenario that's going to make us not triggered? Because that's the biggest thing I want to tell you guys is what you perceive doesn't have to hurt or trigger you. A lot of this is indoctrinated beliefs. A lot of it. I talked about that, I think, on the last video about death. So the belief that somebody's rejecting you and then the things that they do are causing deep pain inside of yourself is just because of a misperception. You miss the mark. That's what I think, Kabbalists call karma, missing the mark. And so maybe it wasn't Kabbalah. Maybe it's Jesus. Either way, karma is missing the mark. And the mark is you're perceiving something wrong and it's hurting you. So we could use the whole, it's perfect. But the biggest thing I want to use for rejection is, why don't you just, instead of taking it personal, put yourself in the other person's shoes, because you can tell whatever story you want that doesn't trigger you into feeling rejected. We can use our mind as a master, or we can use it like we're its servant. And that just means we're being mentally lazy when we say to ourselves, oh, he's probably over there with some other bitch, or he's probably thinks I'm ugly, or, whatever it is that you're feeling rejected and you say to yourself. You don't have to say that. It's your choice. It's your world. And what is that doing? It's hurting you. So why are we thinking those thoughts if they hurt us? Well, we could logically say, because they're probably true. I've been through this. This ain't my first rodeo. Men ain't shit. Women ain't shit. All that. I've heard it. It doesn't matter what they are or what you think, because remember, that's the duality. You're not understanding that you'll attract the people you can project your energy patterns on. That's really crucial to understand. The matrix, the universe, is reflecting your energy pattern. So you are attracting the people that your emotional patterns need to be reflecting to you. Or we can say it another way. You have a belief that men are shit. Well, then you're going to attract shit men. And then if you get the light bulb moment Like, oh my God, I do believe men are shit. Men are great, men are great, men are great. That's not going to change it. That's the conscious awakening without reprogramming the unconscious energy pattern. And so how you start to do that is you have to shift your perception so that you cultivate a better feeling when you're triggered. And so that takes a lot. So the first thing is just pause. Talk about that a lot on the channel, is just to pause and not do anything until it kind of just dissipates. But then as we move into, we want to start shifting our pattern. So yay, this is perfect. Got another dickhead dude. He must really be scared of me. I'm such a beautiful lady. He probably ain't never had nobody like me. He running for the hills. Whatever you got to do to get yourself to cultivate a better feeling about that situation. Perceive it to something better. And no, this isn't good vibes only. This isn't all that fake shit. This is literally recognizing how you feel inside, the rejection feeling, and then thinking a thought that you can rise that up. Rise it up every time, because then before you know it, when that happens, your default isn't all the things I said before, like, this is a dickhead dude, he's probably out there with bitches, he thinks he's the man, he ain't got it. None of that will come up and trigger those rejected feelings or those angry feelings or those sad feelings. What will start to happen is, as you reconfigure this with repetition, is if that happened to you, you would put yourself in their shoes or whatever you decided to do to make yourself feel better, and you'll never even have that trigger, and then you're free of that energy pattern. And then what happens? Because that's not your energy pattern or your belief, you don't even have to attract those type of people anymore. But we don't do that. We stay in the energy pattern. We try to fight. The duality is we try to fight outside to make that person different. That's duality. Because you have to do the inner shift to get the different person. And sometimes the person that you're with can change into that because you're the remote, they're the TV. So I just want to wrap this up with that kind of concept where you can understand that you're the remote and you're the TV, whereas some people in law of attraction say everything is you pushed out. Okay. And so you are attracting the people, and your judgments about them are probably very accurate. Actually, they're 100% accurate, because you're attracting what you believe or what you judge. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. And so you're attracting the person because you have to match your energy pattern, your emotional pattern, your frequency, your state of being, your genetics, your ancestry. Hope I described that well. And so if the person you're with is in tandem with you, and you can shift that, and you're like, oh, I'm putting myself in their shoes, they're just a bad communicator, or maybe they just feel like a wimp if they're pussy whooped or whatever that is, and you're like, this has nothing to do with me, I'm not even rejected, and you kind of laugh about it, then you say to that person from a good place, hey, what happened? And before you know it, it's smooth sailing, because then they start to realize, I don't have to feel unsafe with her. I don't have to feel like I'm whipped. I don't have to feel all these things, because she's just a normal girl. And I'm a normal guy. And now we're normal. We're not repeating these energy patterns. And then you can help that person cultivate this new pattern with you. But only as you start to do it, not by telling them. They're just going to match your frequency change, your emotional energy pattern change. And if they don't, they go away. And that's a whole nother story, because then we tend to go back into the pattern if we've been in a long relationship and somebody just, because we're not understanding that's happening because our state of being and our energy patterns are changing, and then we might go backwards and hold on. And that's okay too, because eventually you'll get sick of it. And you're like, oh, I'm going to do the inner work. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. So just start now. It's all perfect. And now I just want to believe that. And I need to just really recognize what's going on inside of me. No more duality. No more karmas. I'm not going around in circles anymore. So I hope that makes sense. If you have an example, please put in the comments below, and or share it with a friend. And until next time, take care.